All right, season's over. I think I'm live. It's been a while. Last time I did this was, I don't know, after week 11 maybe. I wanted to do it weekly, but dude, we were so up and down, bipolar. Get excited, get disappointed. I even tried looking at going over quarterback film just while I was streaming for just fun, a hobby. And then I got like some kind of strike or something. I don't know the rules of YouTube. And I get too annoyed to be bothered to really learn. That requires a lot of boring reading. I'm okay with reading, just not boring reading when it comes to rules and regulations. Anyhow, uh, thought I'd go over the roster. Let me see. Quick notes. I just like I've said before. I just wing this shit. I try not to spend too much time and overthink it. I don't want to be a perfectionist to the umpteenth degree that I don't end up actually doing what I really want to do, which is just chit chat Panthers football and play my couch GM role. Which, by the way, as soon as the season's over, I'm going to get back to what was really fun to me this last season, and that was watching simmed, realistic-ish GM mode Panthers games for next year. I'm just gonna wait for the season to end for the mods to come out with correct draft picks, as accurate as we probably can get as far as draft classes, and then just hit the ground running as soon as possible to be able to watch some more Panthers football on Madden 26. I bought it when it was on sale. I haven't even fucking played it yet. After watching Sims, I don't and I liked playing it before, but I don't know, I got a whole different joy out of it. Playing couch GM and just watching the games. So let's see my quick notes here. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the defense, how we need a new coordinator, and news came out that Jerry Vero is still under contract. That could be just to keep him around. I mean, they could literally just be keeping him on board because maybe they think he's the best option, and that very well could be true. Um, Maybe just see it if he gets a head coaching role, and then we get some compensatory picks in exchange for it. I don't know where he stands on. Obviously, I don't think anyone does outside of the that that building, that front office, or that stadium. But if he doesn't want to be here, if anyone doesn't want to be on this team, I don't want them a part of it. Um, but there is the aspect of if he were to leave or if we were to let him go before we got news that he was under contract, then who would be better? On the other hand, though, we do need improvement, and he's shown that he's stubborn enough to where we don't know if we're going to get it outside of maybe better players, more skilled players, more dynamic playing, or an execution. We have a problem getting to the quarterback. That is no doubt true. I just don't know, even if we got like a premier or dynamic pass rusher, that Ivero's really going to let him go get the quarterback. And I say that because, and I'm the only person I've seen talk about this, just watching that defense and knowing how much Ivero he likes his containment. I mean, we've heard it since he was hired. Set the edge. I just, and then, um, we saw Princely in his postseason interview recently where he might have seemed a little frustrated at the scheme, but without saying it. It just, everything is telling me that Ivero does not want to create a pass rush if it exploits possible escape lanes for the quarterback. So I think, personally, I think he likes the idea of keeping the quarterback in the pocket and just breaking the pocket down. And we need better players who can do that. I think Nick Scorton's getting there. I think Princely probably could get there, but he probably has a ways to go to be more of like what I'm going to call a power rusher as opposed to a speed rusher. And and there's some validity to it. I'll defend it a little bit because this day and age, um, hold on, let me back up. Whenever I try to convince people about quarterbacks in my expert fan role, I always want people who can quarterbacks who can manage the game from the pocket and be successful. And it's really hard to find quarterbacks coming out of college that can do that. And I mean, it's really hard, and I don't even think teams put enough of a premium on it. So you got a lot of kids coming in out of college, getting drafted, and they succeed, with what do they call them? Off script or off platform throws or extending the play, and that's great and all. But if his scheme is to collapse the quarterback and keep him in, sorry, let me phrase that. Keep him in the pocket and collapse the pocket, then it's not a bad scheme if you think about it when most quarterbacks out there succeed by escaping and extending the play. So, I think it just boils down to just needing players to collapse it quicker. So I've just my assessment is, we're if we are going to get an edge rusher at any point in time, it's going to be someone who can do just that. Not be a Brian Burns type where he became the what do we label him as fans, the king of almost. So and I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just disappointed that we don't already have that here, and I know how hard it is to find that. And but maybe we just keep building at it. So, um, but as I was saying, a lot of fans are talking about defense this, defense that. You're not going to hear me complain more about defense than I am the offense, and I think it's just justified. I find of all the people I follow on Twitter who are, uh, you know, Panthers Twitter influencers or are well known, I just find it kind of striking that when we had, as far as yards given up per game on defense, we were ranked 16th, so that's mid. Against the run, we were 15th. Against the pass, we were 20th. But when you look at offense, and when you consider offensive head coach, uh, number one overall pick quarterback, two first round wide receivers, an undrafted wide receiver who has become a starter, highest paid offensive line, two good running backs. And you might question that. That could be debatable at times, but for the sake of this argument, let's just they're good. And we're ranked 27th in the league in yards per game. Rushing, we're 19th. Passing, we're 26th. That's a problem for me. So if I'm getting rid of any coordinator, it's the offensive coordinator. I'm getting someone in better. We could again, same argument. Would someone else be worse? I think you have a more higher possibility of someone else being worse at DC than at OC personally. But I mean, these things are debatable. I could argue with myself. Um, I guess when it comes to defensive coordinator, I'm kind of ambivalent to it. On one hand, we can get someone that's worse. On the other hand, we kind of know what to expect with Ivero. So, and I don't think he's going to improve those aspects. It's just going to be the players, as I said. It's just so yeah. That's but I don't know. I think with offense, and I'll get into each position here. You know that Bryce is going to be the quarterback at the very minimum for next year. Probably going to get the fifth year option. I don't see how that's even a question. I could sit here and say I don't like Bryce, and I will say I think he limits an offense. But why? How is it a question to get his fifth year option? I see reporters asking him if he fucking deserves it. Like, what are you guys talking about? It's gonna be what 20, $25 million a year. That's kind of in today's NFL. That's not. That's a very I guess so. I don't know what the term is. Like that's a discounted price, even if he were to be a backup in 2027. it's just my opinion. I mean, give it another year to either figure him out or see if we want to pay him long term or bring in competition. It's dot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think he's going to be on this team for the next 2 years, unless something were to happen and he either asks for or we find that we need to trade him should we get someone else. But I'll get into Bryce later. Um, he had a great game. I don't want to turn anyone off right now that I'm gonna dock him by any means. I mean, I've never in my time can honestly say that I've been wrong about quarterbacks when I have an opinion on them coming out of college. Except for Bryce, at times he's done that. And much like the season, it's bipolar. And I just literally have to wing it and just speak my mind and what comes to thoughts on how I feel about these situations personally as a fan. So, uh, I'll say this: I want to bring in competition. That has not changed my mind. If he didn't have good games this year, I'd say no, dude. We just need to fucking cut our losses and move on, and we need to move on quick. But he's shown enough to where he's our starter next year. But here's why I'm not 100% confident because of the lack of consistency. That's what you're going to hear everyone talk about. But also because, we felt good at this time last year about his progression. And I was shocked as hell this time last year. But then we saw the beginning of this year. And then we saw the issues. 54-yard passing yards against the Seahawks. The 49ers basically giving us the game and not being able to take it over. And whether or not I don't know if I've covered this before, I'm not saying it's all Bryce either now. I think Dave Canales and the play calling has taken a step down. Last year, I think he was better than this year at play calling and creating schemes to get the players open. But I got to a point to where I'm being honest. I could not determine or even like I guess have enough know how to figure out what was the problem. Was it the blocking? Was it the route schemes? Was it Bryce making mistakes? Was it the play calling? Was it the receivers not getting open quick enough? Were they not running the correct routes? But there was some highs and lows, and I'm tired of the lows. So overall, we're gonna get there, but quarterback is always a hot topic. I think that we should bring in at the very minimum a viable backup who understands that he's going to be a backup, but also understands that if he shows out and proves to the team and the coaches day in day out, makes it to where they don't have a choice but to play him over Bryce, then that's I would like that. I think it's time to take the training wheels off of Bryce, and what I mean by that is Andy Dalton needs to go. I wasn't complaining when we brought him back this year because, in my opinion, I kind of knew it would happen. That in Bryce's third year, they weren't going to, I don't care what fans were saying. There was a lot of fans saying, oh, we need to bring someone else in, Jameis Winston, someone else. Like, okay, but dude, as much as I would have agreed with that, I just knew that, like, no, they were going to keep the consistency in that quarterback room. And in Bryce's third year, they were going to bring Andy Dalton back to just not mix it up too much. And I think they sacrificed a viable backup to help Bryce in his third year. So, but now it's time to take the training wheels off. And it's just good for the team that we have someone who could step in if needed. Even if Bryce was just this all pro next year, we need someone who we can rely on because Andy Dalton, I mean, heck, I didn't even think he would be that bad when we saw him. I knew he wasn't gonna start, but that looked pretty bad, really bad. So I think we can all agree we need a better option at backup quarterback than Andy Dalton. And I'm sorry if some people get their feelings hurt that that guy could also come in and want to play. Tough luck. Shit happens. It's the NFL. We want our team to be the best it possibly can every given Sunday, Saturday, Thursday, or Monday. All right. So, um, I guess let's get started into it. I can't think of anything else at the top of my head that I wanted to touch on other than, oh yeah, how about this? I'll just let's talk about what I would do. We'll go over each roster spot, each player. I'll just speak what comes to mind. But I'm hearing a lot of talk of we need an inside linebacker, we need an edge, we need a wide receiver. Now we need offensive tackle with Icky being injured and likely gone all of next year. From I didn't understand it, but I read into it, and it is like a 6 to 12 month recovery time. And that sucks, but it also kind of creates an opportunity to where we may feel forced to draft a kid and then see how he does. And then, heck, who knows? What if this benefits us down the road to where Icky might play a more natural position of offensive guard? I don't know. I'm just being open to trying to you know make lemonade out of lemons and see where it goes. But what I was gonna say when it comes to free agency and the draft, I think we have to. I would like the team to have a mindset of if you have an opportunity for a dynamic player, you draft him. And then you also want to prioritize, of course, best player available as much as possible, but also in positions that you could use them. And then, which I think not a lot of fans or pundits talk about, is the value, positional value, to be specific. So what I mean by that is you're going to hear a lot of fans, want to draft an inside backer in the first round, and they want to sign an edge. Hey, that could be the way it plays out, but don't get all pissy if you see the team maybe want a little bit more bang for their buck with draft picks and bang for your buck with their salary cap. So what I mean is maybe sign a free agent who's an inside backer and focus on an edge in the draft, even though we already had two rookies this year. But if you find someone who could be dynamic and be have high positional value, meaning like if you're gonna, I'll give you an example. I have this tab up here. Let's see, and if 2026 NFL free agents. Okay, so this is just spot track. I don't know. I didn't spend too much time researching everything. I don't know how updated it is, but I'm assuming that this is ranking based on, you know, impact a free agent or high value target free agents. Let's say Trey Hendrickson, for example. No, you're looking at allocating a lot of cap space to Trey Hendrickson. How much better is he going to be over, a first round edge rusher, second round edge rusher? I do see the value in bringing in a veteran uh, who can make an impact for sure. So it's just something to think about. All I'm saying is just don't get all pissy as fans if maybe you see them focus more on signing a free agent inside backer and drafting another edge. It's just something to think about. You could look at these guys. Like I don't know. I don't know a lot about these players. I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I do. I don't pay enough attention to other teams. I don't care about those fucking teams. Um, there's some players that we could bring in, and it's not going to hit the cap too much. So it's just, in my opinion, sometimes I wished more. I wish the Panthers in years past kind of looked at the draft class, the depth at each position, what positions you were looking to improve or could put players in, and then look at the free agency pool, um, and not overpay for a position when you might be able to get a similar player in the draft and pay a lot less and have that extra cap space to go address other positions as well. So I think you basically have to just have the 30,000 foot view. But I guess we'll get into the draft here and as things come up. All right. So let's look at the players. All right, over here in blue, any cell that's blue, these players are currently under contract. If it's orange, I kind of just pay them because they could be a cap cut to save some money, just based on numbers. I'm not saying they suck and should be cut. If the cell is white, they're a free agent. If I've got them in green here, that is kind of my previous opinion on whether or not I think we should re-sign them. Purple is kind of I'm ambivalent. Red is don't re-sign them, let them go. I did update this a little bit from the last time that I recorded and went over this, but I didn't go into full detail with everything. So, Tet on the team. Bryce, Coker, come on, dude. We got to re-sign him. He's wide receiver number 2 right now. Another thing you're going to hear a lot of fans talk about is we need to get rid of XL. Look, guys, I mean, do you really. I saw with Mingo, they traded him. But they're not going to cut a first round wide receiver, even if he's wide receiver 3. I don't even care if he's wide receiver 4 right now. They're not going to cut him. Could they possibly be open to like taking phone calls, maybe for trade? Maybe. I just don't see it very likely. So, Excel's going to be on the team. Jimmy Horn's going to be on the team. Um, David Moore, I think they did Renfro wrong this year. I don't know if there was something going on with health or what the issue was, but I do think we would have had a better passing scheme if Renfro was playing more this year. I'm not angry that they gave Jimmy Horn snaps, but they also didn't give him a lot. Um, I think Dave Canales is kind of slow to react. I appreciate them giving Excel an opportunity. I want Excel to succeed. I think he can be a beast. I don't know what he's struggling with right now. I don't know what it is. Is it this passing scheme? Is it his effort? Is it Bryce isn't looking his way enough? Bryce isn't see. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna. I'm just. It's just speculation because I don't have the all 22, and I'm not gonna make it my full time or part time job to go study that week in and week out when I'm not getting paid to do it or can only get a couple freaking views. I I would I'm all, I would only do it if as a hobby is what I'm gonna say. So right now I don't really feel like it. If I even know what the hell I'm talking about. But anywho, it doesn't look. They already let him go. Hunter, that is. Um, so I don't know. I don't care what they do at this point with him. I would have liked to bring him back, but I feel like that ship's kind of sailed. But they didn't give him a chance to really show us anything. He got 2 touchdowns versus the Cardinals. I think he could have gotten open. I think he could have been a great outlet for Bryce. I have no idea why they failed. I just feel like they failed on that, but I'll trust them on that. David Moore, don't care if he brings some. We need something. We need receivers to get open. We need another target other than Tet, and Coker is that, but a lot of those are contested catches. He's not creating a lot of space. I'm not saying he needs to be benched. I'm just saying I'm not seeing our guys really get like these wide open looks. So I don't think David Moore is going to bring that. Maybe on occasion. I'd like to see it more. I don't think we should re-sign Moore. Akey's going to be gone, but he's under contract. Zavala is probably going to be around through his rookie contract. Damian Lewis is going to be around, but let's talk about him. Okay. So over here, I have pre-June 1st, post-June 1st, how much in millions we would save should we were to cut them. Uh, D. Lewis we would save a lot of money. We would create a lot of cap space, but I'm not cutting him. I would not cut him, especially with Icky being out for the foreseeable. Who knows when? I realize that's a lot of cap space, but he is reliable. He's great at what he does, and we need that stability. So I think we agree to do and pay his contract. We need him. Now, if someone else can, who knows the intricacies of playing offensive line, and if they were to tell me that Delu was a problem for whatever reason, and that's why we couldn't run the ball as well, then okay, I might change my mind personally on that. But we need. I think we all agree. We would agree. We need stability there. Cade Mays. If I look down the list here, he's probably going to be my number two priority outside of Coker. Number two priority to re-sign and bring back. Downsides of him is I do think there was almost starting to become a trend there where he was kind of becoming a little injury prone, but I think to end the season, I think he was reliable. I would bring him back, re-sign him. Austin Corbett, eh, don't care, not so much, not that interested in anymore, not that into you, bro. I like the person. This has my opinions have nothing to do with the person, but I just don't see a need. If the, I was surprised last offseason that they brought back Corbett, Christensen, Nyman. I don't know if Nyman was new to us, but you know, I was kind of surprised they were able to do it. But they did. If that were to happen again, okay. But I don't want to go into the season relying on Corbett anymore. I think we can do better, maybe even a lot better. Robert Hunt, we can save 8.4 or 9 million by cutting him. That's going to be an interesting one. Because I got to say, I don't know if he's worth what we're paying him. We do need the stability. And I'm not just saying, questioning that because he was out all year. If I was Delu, I would be a little upset that I'm not getting his contract. Just saying. But hey, they're going to know more than me. If he's back, ready to go, um, I do think I get the impression he brings a lot to the locker room, so that's good. So overall, I mean, I'd like to see these guys back, but especially if they're under contract, and keep that stability, keep it going. I just don't know. I don't think we're going to be in a position where we need to create some cap space to sign. Let's say they go ahead and go for a premier edge rusher. I'd like to see them back. I'm just saying, there's about almost 9 million there if they need it. Um, but at this point, I would keep everyone who's starting offensive line, bring them back. Earlier in the season, I was kind of questioning Taylor Moton because I saw that he was struggling at times, but he did straighten that out big time. He was kind of off the radar, which is very, very good for offensive line. He's going to be on this team, but I did previously have offensive tackle as a priority, and we'll go over this like my little makeshift spreadsheet. I had offensive tackle as early. We needed to address that early, and it was mainly because, and it may even be because this was before I think we gave Moten whatever extension we did or reworked his contract. Um, but it was also under the understanding that Moten's getting older, and now even more so, kind of we do need offensive tackle to play left tackle for Icky. So the question's going to be, are you comfortable with the Josh Nyman playing left tackle? I'm probably going to be a little bit more comfortable than most. I don't really see what were the negatives. I didn't. I don't think we really noticed that much of a drop off when Yash was playing left tackle. I think even when he played right tackle, didn't Moten miss a couple games or parts of games? Brady Christensen has a following, but the guy is often injured. Um, I mean, we're getting to like Austin Corbett there because I don't know if I can rely on this kid. So if I had to, if you're asking me, let's see, let me ask myself. I would try to keep the offensive line as intact as possible with everyone, with the exclusion of Austin Corbett. He'd be the first that I wouldn't resign, and then Brady Christensen would probably be the second right now. Yash is just kind of more of a swing tackle where Brady can play anywhere. So, but the problem with so I would much prefer Brady. However, there's the injury aspect, injury prone. It's hard to allocate cap space and a roster spot and then have him out for huge chunks of the year. It's just not really my thing. But we'll see. I mean, what do we have this year? So we had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players. I'm sure there's more. I don't have everyone that's on the roster here, but I did like that they brought in a lot of players, and hey, we benefited from it because we did have injuries throughout the year. So I'm thinking, you draft a kid, you let Corbett go, you draft a kid, create the roster space by letting not re-signing Corbett. Maybe you look at these two guys and you say, let's give you another year or two contracts, maybe 2 years for Nyman, 1 year for Brady. And should someone fall to you in the draft, you revisit their if they're on the 53 or not. That's how I would look at it. Maybe Jake Kerr, there's options there, but I would try to keep these guys. And if I had to get rid of one of our starters, I gotta say it would be Robert Hunt. Dude, that's a tough one. He's a fan favorite. Probably helped create a great environment in the locker room. Um, but on the field and production, I would pick Delu over Hunt right now since he's been with us. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe if I was getting paid the big bucks, I would have to make that decision, but I don't. All right, tight end room, dude. I'm disappointed in Sanders. I'm not, but I'm saying that with the understanding that I didn't really have high expectations either. I would have liked it, but the expectations, I wasn't expecting to be a surprise. I'm just kind of meh to our tight ends. I think we need a better tight end. I think we could use a premier tight end. So I'm going to put that over here. Let's add tight end to the list to consider. I think Tommy Tremble played better this year than I thought he was going to. Didn't he kind of become our starter too? Wasn't he like tight end one for us? Yeah, I think he was. I think Mitchell Evans has potential. So the question with tight end kind of becomes: are we not utilizing them because we don't have a, a good tight end, or if we were to get a good tight end, are they just not going to use them anyways? I think if I'm a fucking offensive coordinator, if I'm Dave Canales, I want to use a tight end more. For all those people saying we need another wide receiver in the draft or free agency, I would counter with maybe we just need a better tight end. Have Tet, have Coker, have XL or Horn in the slot, and then give me a fucking tight end. Like a premier tight end. I like that idea. Don't know if Canales is into that, but I'm just saying what I like. So I think it's obvious Tommy Tremble's going to be good. He's not going to be the premier tight end. Mitchell Evans, I guess, still has potential. So does Sanders, but they just what? Why weren't they utilized? Is it scheme or was it ability or experience? So I don't know, man. If I'm fucking David Tebb, I don't know. Like I would go to Canales and say, dude, this will help you, help your offense. Get a tight end, or use the ones you have if you think you already have that tight end. Anyway, we'll move on. Running back room. I've heard some fans talk about how we need to draft another one. No, no, and in fact, I'm going to be pissed if we do. I was fully on board. Oh man, me and running backs. That's kind of I can be contradictory here. I've always, since the days of Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos and what the Denver Broncos used to do, I don't know, back in the 90s, I was always a fan of running back by committee and not using high draft picks for running backs. I think we're getting a little. I'm getting more warmed up, and the league itself is kind of getting more warmed up again to using day one or early day two picks on running backs, and I'm seeing a trend too where there's a noticeable benefit off of doing so. Not all the time. You can get some guys in the late, uh, day three, late day two guys who can succeed, but I'm gonna say that when I was on some podcasts, I was advocating, dude, we need to re-sign Rico. And my justification for that was because he was dynamic. He was an obvious step up. He was our offense. Point blank, bro. But now I'm kind of more comfortable with saying, nah, dude, let's not waste the cap space. Let's let Rico go. Because that didn't stick. Like it he was hot, but then he wasn't. Um, I don't think Chuba's dynamic. I think he's reliable. He didn't have the best year, even when he was playing well. It wasn't like he was. We were all fucking crying, "Go to Chuba, let's just fucking run it down their throats, let him get over 100 yards." We kind of knew that wasn't happening. So, am I excited for Jonathan Brooks? Meh. Yeah and no. But I think if you look at Chuba, ETN, and Brooks, we don't. I'm on board now with we don't need to pay Rico. And then you add in the interview he gave the other day after the day after the Rams game, where he's basically to me coming off like he's going to have certain expectations of whatever team he signs with, and he wants to be the premier back. And all I'm hearing is, I just want my what I want, and I'm more interested in what I want than I am interested in rolling it back with my team. So that to me, that's a turn off. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna color him purple. Am I gonna do purple? Let's do purple. If they re-sign him with a decent contract, okay. But that was a turn off, Rico. You know, it doesn't sound like you're really being a team player there, and it's not like maybe you could use more carries, but like you weren't as dynamic. Let's be real here. So if I'm looking at that, I'm like Chuba, Trevor, and Brooks. I'm okay with that. Uh, I think I don't. I'm not willing to fucking draft a first round running back. I don't care if he's Love out of Notre Dame. I just don't really value the running back position that much when you have Hubbard, Etienne, and Brooks. So you have potential there. If Brooks worries me a little bit because he was asked pretty much, I think, in so many words if he's going to be ready, and he basically said, "Hopefully." What do you mean, hopefully, bro? How much more time do you need? Are you just like waiting it out because you want just get your to just play under your second contract? I mean, are you gonna wait till your what is it, your fourth year, and then want to play? So basically, you're only playing for your contract, your next contract. I don't know, man. That worries me a little bit, but I'm not in that building, so I don't know what the deal is there. I'm full. If as a fan, I'm fully expecting him to play next year. I want to see what we have, but I'm not really too worried about the running back room with these three guys. I think ETN probably deserves some more carries anyway. For all we know, Chuba and ETN would be a great combination. Chuba and Brooks and ETN. I'm not too worried about that room right now. I don't think we should allocate high resources to adjust it either. All right. I kind of spoke on the quarterback thing earlier. At the end of the day, Bryce is our starter next year. Andy Dalton is a shitty backup. Andy Dalton's going to save us $2 million a year should we cut him, and he ain't going to challenge for it. And he probably is going to suck if we ever need him to. So I think we need a quarterback. And when it comes to quarterbacks, who the hell do we have in free agency? Um, Daniel Jones, I think, grew up a Panthers fan, but he got injured. That injury there changes things as far as at least with him and as a Panthers fan. If we even wanted to sign a guy, if Bryce would have sucked, never shown us anything this year, but you, there's some fans out there who even agree we need a backup, who are going to sit here and talk about signing a free agent. Which one, bro? Which one? If you want to pound the table for someone like Trey Lance, by all means, go the right fucking ahead. Malik Willis, you want to pound it? Go ahead, and he might be good now, but there's going to be teams who are going to give him a shot at number one to be the starter. That ain't us right now. If he's good, I wouldn't mind having him, but he's not having us right now. Yeah, hey, good luck with the rest of the fucking list, guys. I ain't fucking hearing it right now. I think we need to draft a kid. So I'm going to add that to the list. Fuck free agent quarterbacks. I ain't interested in paying a lot of backup money for a quarterback when he's just somebody else's trash. I don't care. Here's the thing. I get passionate about quarterbacks, especially for my team. This is my. Come on now. I've been a Panthers fan since day one. Um, there's fans that have also been fans since day one who tell me that Canales doesn't want a rookie quarterback. He likes veteran quarterbacks. Now, those are based on statements that Canales has made when he got hired or after his first season, knowing that Bryce is under contract, knowing that Bryce was invested in, knowing that we traded up for him, knowing that possibly that was the owner's pick or the owner's wife pick. I don't know. He wasn't going to come in and talk about a rookie quarterback. It was strictly Bryce and Andy Dalton. That was it. Now, if he meant it, meaning he truly does not like rookie quarterbacks, if he does not want to develop or can't develop a rookie quarterback, I'm going to say as a fan, I don't want him here. I know he's coming back, but if you have a head coach, an offensive head coach at that, who does not like rookie quarterbacks or doesn't want to develop rookie quarterbacks, we need him to get the fuck out of here as soon as possible, and I'm gonna be angry about it. Because if you're an offensive coach and you can develop young quarterbacks and you have, let's say you have a quarterback, do you realize how much value you create for yourself in the trade market should you have a viable, possibly even highly demanded backup quarterback who wants the team to start with and he's sitting on your bench? Get the fuck out of here with you don't want to fucking develop young quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks. Come on now, bro. Get the fuck out of here if you're not going to do it. I gave you 3 years with Andy Dalton and Bryce. Well, he's been here 2 of them. I ain't fucking playing this shit anymore. I will fully advocate to get you the fuck out. If you're too scared or you don't want to deal with a rookie quarterback, I don't give a fuck. I told you I got fucking passionate about this. I don't give a fuck if who's a guy here. Trey fucking Lance has seen coverages and a rookie hasn't. Shut the fuck up. Bring in the kid. Use your scouting department. The one you hired. The one you've succeeded with in finding the players for the 2025 rookie class. Find a fucking quarterback, bro. Now, earlier in the season, I was saying we need to go early. Now, I'm going to keep my personal opinion aside for a second. Right now, just on paper, we can't really go early. If you're just looking at it as a general fan and, Bryce is a starter, it just doesn't make sense on paper that you're going to go and draft a day one, day two quarterback. All right? Especially after his game versus the Rams. He looked good. I've told you, man, he's the only one that has on occasion made me, not that I'm somebody, but in my own personal opinion, I feel like I've done pretty well assessing quarterbacks on the ones I have opinions on. He's made me at times look completely wrong because he's come out with this potential I didn't even know he had, and he moved the offense, and he's been efficient. The end of last year and at times this year against the Falcons, record-setting performance um, against the Rams. But can we at least agree that we need a better backup should something happen to Bryce? I think the answer is yes. Can we not agree that a rookie has could have way more potential than any of those guys that I'm showing you on his free agency list? Now, if I'm speaking my mind, if they go and sign one of these guys to be the backup, I'm going to question it. However, I'm also going to tell myself I want to trust them. They are the professionals. They are paid millions upon millions of dollars. He did turn around Geno Smith, presumably or assumably, and got the best out of Baker. So maybe there's something to it. But I didn't see you do that with Andy Dalton. I didn't see you do that with Hendon Hooker. And I could say that because you guys are the ones that let Hooker go. So I don't know, man. I'm just going to be very questionable about it. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm ever going to know if you were right if you were to sign these guys and making that decision, unless the guy gets a chance to play and either looks good or doesn't. So I'll say this. Here's how I can assess it. If Bryce struggles and it's becoming apparent, and this is going to be his 4th year, if he's struggling to the point to where most teams would call it and bring in the backup, and it's not that they're obviously just trying to fucking make it work, then and you don't bring in the backup, that's just going to tell me that either way, whether you're giving him too much, you're not willing to make a decision to win, or you made the wrong decision in who you fucking signed. Either one, it's a shitty fucking move. From however you look at it. Um, because unfortunately, at least in my opinion, Bryce hasn't earned the right that if you throw three, whatever it is, I don't even know if he's thrown three interceptions in a game, but I don't think he's earned that if he becomes consistent in his inconsistency and you want to fucking win, I don't think he's at the stage yet where we could say, well, he's the guy and we need to go with him, man, because he's our best option. I don't want them. Let me put it a different way. I don't want them making a shitty decision at the backup quarterback to where they feel they just by default make him the best option. I think we need. I think I'm communicating what I need to say. I just know that with a lot of fans, they're not hearing it. So don't sign some guy to where automatically, no matter how fucking bad Bryce looks, he's just our best option. I mean, AKA Andy Dalton. Um, so if it's me, I'm looking to draft a kid. So I'm telling my scouts and I'm looking at film and heck, I might even do as a fan. I want to find that kid that I think could be something in the future. Doesn't have to be something day one. Be something in the future. And if worse comes to worse with Bryce down the road in future years, if you need to move on or want to move on, you still have that guy there who could compete for that job when it's open. Okay, I think I said everything that came to mind there. All right, Turk Wharton. He was a disappointment in my opinion. They keep starting him anytime he's available. He was very injury prone. He is under contract though. I do not think that he creates a lot of cap space either way. So we would be. Oh wait a second. Holy crap! I didn't even fucking add him to the list. If we cut him post June 1, or yeah, no, this is pre June 1. Oh damn. 8.976. Oh wait, that was trade, man. God damn it. Turk. Okay, this is why I didn't have him on there. My bad. Technical difficulty for a second there. Yeah, we're in the hole if we cut Turk Wharton pre June 1 and damn it, post June 1. No, not that much. So he's under contract. Bobby Brown, who I think played better. Now, Bobby, they confuse me here. I thought it was well known, not just my impression, but I thought it was well known that Bobby Brown was going to be the nose. So something happened to where Ashawn took over that role. But if I look at the front three in our 3-4, um, Cam Jackson's under contract, rookie contract. He's coming back. Derek Brown's coming back. Turk Warren isn't going to save us any money, so might as well, I guess, have him on the roster. Because if you cut him, you're not going to save anything. You would literally be cutting him for either locker room issues, effort issues, whatever kind of issues, and or you don't want to save him a roster spot, and you want someone else in there. So I'm going to go under the assumption Turk, DB, Cam Jackson on the team next year. Bobby, okay, so now we're looking at okay. I just who cares about LeBron Ray, Jaden Crumedy? I had hopes for Crumedy, but I guess hasn't worked out for whatever reason. I mean, it's kind of he was a 6th round pick. Ashawn Robinson, Bobby Brown. All right, Ashawn's gonna save us 8.5 if we cut him. Bobby Brown 4.3, 6.2. Okay, I think now we're getting into what's possibly the most likely cap cut. I'm gonna say it's probably Ashawn Robinson. Let's do. Probably Ashawn Robinson so far, I would say is the most likely cap cut to save 8.5 million, and that's what I would do. Again, I don't know the intricacies of defensive line, um, and how valuable he was this year. How likely it would be to replace? I mean, but just as a fan, I'm saying Bobby Brown replace Ashawn Robinson, and there's our current starters: Turk, DB, Bobby Brown. Cam Jackson comes in as back, or What if Cam Jackson has shown enough by then that he becomes the nose, as he was drafted and we were hoping he would be. I thought it was going to be Bobby Brown with Cam Jackson backing him up, and I thought it was going to be Ashawn next to DB, and then Turk I thought was going to come in on more passing downs. So all right, so I do have them on the list as a possible, um, and probably more for like depth. Yeah, it'd be more for depth. So I think between Turk, DB, Bobby Brown, and Cam Jackson, there's four. Maybe you draft a kid. Who knows? Maybe even sign a vet to be more of like depth for that. I mean, heck, dude, I kind of like the idea of Bobby Brown, Derek Brown, and Cam Jackson. So, but I think unfortunately, just they call it cap casualty for a reason where they save us more than I think they're worth keeping on, and I think Ashawn might be that. I think Bobby Brown he would save us 6.2 if he's a post June 1st cut. That's a good chunk of change, but maybe that's enough to kind of keep him on, especially if you're looking for cap space. I don't know. That's why they have front office guys. But me personally, Ashawn would be the odd man out in that scenario. All right, let's look at edge guys. I did update this a little bit because I didn't realize DJ won him. I previously thought, and I've corrected it, but I previously had him as under a potential cap cut. But oh, I don't have it on anymore. But yeah, I did have a. It did look like he's an unrestricted free agent. I wouldn't resign him. Patrick Jones could be. You know what? Hold on. Let's do this. All right, Nick's the starter. Patrick Jones could save us 4.75 million if we cut him at any point in time, pre or post June 1st. Oh, what would I do here? What do I hope they do? I say you keep Patrick Jones, Nick's of course Nick's Gordon and Princely, and then either sign or draft a kid. I see the pros of bringing in a vet when you have two rookies, but I also see the higher positional value in the draft with at an edge as opposed to over 20 million a year for a vet. Who do we have in the free agency pool at edge? Here we go. Edge defender. Trey Hendrickson's a big one. His value is going to be about 25 million a year. That's just this website. I don't know how accurate it would be. Um, as I talked about at the start, I don't think they're going to value like speed pass rushers. I think if they were to sign a guy, I want to pay him 25 million a year. It's going to be a guy who can do it all at the edge in a 3-4. Of course, there's always the chance that Ivero, for whatever reason, isn't with us anymore, and we hire someone else who changes us to 4-3. But for this, I'm going, and for until otherwise, I'm going to be reasonably assuming we're going to stay in the 3-4. Um, I don't think someone like Joey Bosa is worth it. I don't know much about some of these other players. There could be a guy, maybe let's say you bring in someone under 20 million that you might find a guy who's young and hasn't have shown stuff but hasn't proved himself to be the premier guy. That's an interesting thought. Who are those guys right now? I don't know. I don't know much about Joseph Asai, but um, this guy Owe, I don't know, Adafe Owe, maybe he's a guy. He looked good in that Chargers game, but I don't watch Chargers games, so I can't speak to how he did all year. So that I kind of like that idea a little bit more than a premier guy because the only premier guy right here is Trey Hendrickson. Now, if they wanted, I'm not going to get into the whole Max Crosby or trade scenario talk because I'd like to think that if all we had to do was give a first round pick for Max Crosby, that maybe I'd do it. But I'd also have, if I'm the buyer, I'm gonna have to like really kind of look into this. How many? If we can get 4 years out of them, how about that? Then yeah, I would go ahead and if I were to think I can get good 4 years, then it doesn't even have to be all pro years. I'm just saying good 4 years out of and take it. I would be open to it. But I don't think we're at the stage right now where we're looking for a Super Bowl in the next year or two. I think we're looking at that'd be nice, but when we're building towards it, but we're not gonna give up a first round pick for a guy who's only gonna give us a year or maybe two. And I'm not saying that's Max Crosby. I'm just saying that's what I would need to debate. I would need to figure out. So at this stage right now, I kind of like the idea of bringing in a veteran who, maybe is going into a second contract, but not going to be getting premier money. Someone who's hungry, likes football, wants to join our team. I like that idea. If you need to fit him in, if you need to let go of a Patrick Jones to create cap space, by all means. If you can't do it with whoever else you're going to have a cap cut with. So, but if you can't get that guy, that's why I have him looking in the draft, outside linebacker in a 3-4. All right, inside backer. I think I like Roseboom more than some fans. I was on a Discord and they were basically dogging on Roseboom, and I thought he looked like crap the first game, but who didn't? Maybe second game too, but like I think I would re-sign Roseboom. I think if we need if okay if all the fans who think we should draft an inside backer first round, if it's such a huge need, why would you not try to bring back Roseboom? And if someone falls to you, then then you have that's great. And if you need to, you can develop. You could say the top two guys are starting game one, and the rookie. Yeah, hey, maybe he's the odd man out to start with. Hey, you're the rookie. You need to earn it. You need to show us that you can beat out Trevin Wallace or Roseboom. And the fans getting angry at the coaches making a decision like that. Okay, you have an opinion. I'm gonna be mad about other things. That's all I'm saying. Um, I'm not saying we don't need help there. We definitely need help there. We need depth. We could use better starters because Trevin Wallace hasn't yet panned out. I don't know if he will, but right now Roseboom's our best inside linebacker. I would re-sign him. Maybe you get a first round. If you were to get drafted a guy, you say, all right, you're battling out with Trevin Wallace. Trevin, show us something, man. So yeah, I do. We definitely need inside linebacker. I'm just going to be more at this point in time, unless a dynamic player, I talked about, it, if he's dynamic in the first round, I understand it. If you're just doing it because it's need, and if you have an edge guy and an inside backer guy and you kind of score them the same, I'm going with edge because it's higher positional value. I would focus more on maybe signing a free agent to compete with Wallace. And then if you still feel like you need more depth, you take a guy on late day two or day three at inside backer. Get your scouts, find that guy for you to be the depth piece. I'm just saying it's not set in stone that we need to draft an inside backer in the first round. That's all I'm saying. Because there's guys here in free agency, way more than quarterback for sure. Way more than I would say even more than edge. Yeah, there's guys here that are still young and hungry. So, just saying, don't get pissy if you see them sign a guy as opposed to draft one. And I like that this team what they've done is fill basically be able to field a team after free agency and let the draft come to you and take guys. I like that idea. So I would fully count on them bringing back Roseboom or at least trying to. Now, if he wants to fucking leave because he wants to leave, that's a different story. But I would say they make a push to re-sign Roseboom and maybe even sign another guy, similar to the Edge thing, where they want to compete for that starting spot, and and have the ability to do so. And then if you draft a kid, and so be it. You have depth. All right, Mike Jackson. I only have him as a okay cornerbacks, I should say, but let's start with Mike Jackson. I forgot that Corey Thornton was on our roster and just got injured. Is he under contract? How do I figure out? Okay, looks like he's under contract. So I'm sad that I forgot about him, but wasn't he like basically our nickel or QB cornerback three for us before he got injured? Something about this Ivero give him credit, or whoever it is needs credit for like being able to take people like Mike Jackson and Corey Thornton and have a decent defense, man. Pass defense. Not the best. We were 20th in the league, but I think if you've watched the games, you know they're like they're kind of overachievers. Especially Mike Jackson. I've been telling people all year, if not even last year, that I think he's the best cornerback two we've ever had. And now he's actually like he's proven making me look good. Dude, he was our best corner these past few games. So I I I don't think. I mean, how much are you gonna save? 4.8. I say you keep him, man. You can't be that fucking starving for cap space. If you're gonna let Mike Jackson go to save 4.8 million, you keep him. In fact, shoot, he played so well. You probably should consider yourself lucky that he's not demanding a what do they call him? A restructure. So he's yeah, man. I think he's doing well. Um, so would we want to look at possibly maybe you look at a kid in the draft or maybe free agency to kind of supplant Shell Smith Wade. I don't know. I'm me personally. I'm not spending too much time right now worrying about that position. Could we improve it? Yes, but that I'm not going to get into the weeds of like who can we sign, who could we draft. Like okay, if they fall to us, great. Is that kind of how as a fan I'm just going to look at it right now. Safety, as Panthers fans, man, throughout the years, there's always a fucking defensive back that is the target of our fan base. Um, Nick Scott is at this year, but I'm bringing that up to say I don't know if he's really that bad, bro. I really don't. I think I wasn't expecting a lot of him this year, and I thought that was going to be a huge week. I think he definitely overachieved for me. Could we do better? Possibly. So I think I like the idea of bringing in a free safety, a kid at free safety or whatever position you want to call it. Nick Scott plays. Um, and I only say that because I don't know with all the things that Ivero does, who's technically a free safety more than a strong safety. But I mean, just my assumption is Trayvon Merrick is a strong safety and Nick Scott's the free safety. But could you bring some? Yeah, possibly. That's kind of exciting to think about. Could we land a guy that's like an NFL premier free safety? Yeah, that would be nice. But I'm also not like I don't know if we could find someone who might do better than Nick Scott has. I think if you're down on him, I think you're being a little harsh. I ain't saying he's him. I ain't saying we may not be able to do better. I'm just saying, man. I think you're trying to be hard on the guy. I'm not disappointed in him this year. I'm just saying, I don't know if someone falls to us, great. So I have him as don't resign. Let's change that. Let's do don't care or depending what his value is. I mean, maybe you I don't know. If you got Isaiah Simmons, who's probably gonna, if I'm him, I want to go with and he didn't get it this year, so he may not. He may settle, but I would think he communicated very clearly. He wants to have a position and play. I don't know. I don't think he communicated what position that is. Maybe he did and I missed it, but if we can't give it to him, I think he's gone. Um, I'm gonna assume he's gone. So just on that alone, I think we probably do need to look at bringing in a safety. Simply to have numbers there, in addition to Ransom, Merrick, Nick Scott, if we were to bring him back. So yeah, but I'm just saying if we go into the 53 next year, we're looking at Merrick, Scott, and Ransom, I ain't gonna be crying. Especially if that means that we used our cap space and draft picks to address other areas. Um, Trust me, I would love a premier safety, like top two, top three in the league. Just he's feared, but I'd rather get there by using day two or three draft picks and finding the guy than paying premier money. We're already giving Merrick fucking premier safety money. So, and I don't think he really showed us premier safety plays. He was good. He was reliable. He was a part of the team. But I think we've overpaid him a little bit, and that's fine. We kind of had to. Like ain't nobody wanted to play with us. So, all right, where does that bring it? Dude, Sam Martin to me, he was a better punter than we've had in a while. I would look to re-sign him. I don't know if it's going to be worth what he's going to be wanting. Maybe not. But if it works with the cap and everyone's happy, win-win, re-sign him. I was pleasantly surprised with Martin. I didn't think I would be because I never fucking heard of him before. So I think we went over that a little bit. All right. So now it's time to maybe let's update what we're looking at here in draft, which of course is going to change after free agency. Who did we not resign? Who did we resign and we didn't think we would? Who do we target in free agency? Who we get? Who's a surprise? Et cetera, et cetera. So, but just off the top, let's see. I'm going through my little makeshift list here. Inside backer, yeah. Offensive tackle, yeah. Edge rusher, yeah. Cornerback, if why not, right? I mean, just depends how value, like how we want to rate it. Offensive guard, right now, I'm look. We could do. I like the idea of, let's say we start at, just speculating here, Yash and Moten to start, and if we can bring in a kid who plays tackle but also can play guard, if we make that a priority, maybe kind of two birds, one stone a little bit, to where he could compete for the starting left tackle, and if Icky comes back, he has the capability of moving inside, maybe even taking over should when we do decide to let go of Robert Hunt, D. Lewis. And just thinking, just hitting me now. Let's say, and I ain't trying to hate on Hunt, but if you need that cap money to go get someone that can make a bigger impact, could a draft pick basically give you what Robert Hunt's given us? and still save 9 million. Just something to think about. Defensive end's going to be a little bit more depth. And I think as Panthers fans, I always hear this happen. And pundits are going to say, "Oh man, if you can get like a Peter Woods, someone to put next to Derek Brown." Like I think people get a little too excited at that more than I do. Because when I'm thinking bang for your buck, I'm going to think that as much as I've been saying inside backer, I wouldn't prioritize this. I'm going to prioritize inside backer over defensive end when I'm looking at Turk Wharton, Derek Brown, Cam Jackson, possibly Bobby Brown the third, and or maybe even Ashawn Robinson. That I ain't about to. I mean, if they were to do it, then okay. I'll be excited. I want if they let's say they look at someone like Peter Woods, who probably isn't going to be there at 19, but even if he was, I'm just not like I'm just not that into it. When you have a Derek Brown already, I just don't. I don't know, man. I just don't see a lot of fucking like impact dynamic moves from a defensive end position. I'm thinking more, dude. You stop the run. You know what I mean? You stop the run. That's what you're here for. You free up our linebackers, and I'm gonna focus on my premier or hopefully premier linebacker and edge rushers to make the splash plays. So, no, dude, I just don't get that. Yeah, I just don't. I'm gonna be more excited if they want to draft a nose tackle. I'm gonna get more excited for that. I'm gonna say if they got like a second round nose tackle who's just a premier guy, but he didn't go in the first because there wasn't high positional value in that scenario, then I'm gonna say okay, now we're talking. Derek, you know what I mean? Like that's the nose tackle you put next to Derek Brown and Turk Wharton or Bobby Brown the third, and you have yeah. So tight end, we talked about that. Quarterback, safety. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know why I had this here. I think I was just going down. Oh, with these. Okay. So I'm gonna put quarterback here, tight end. I'm gonna put this here. Safety. Safety. So let's do. All right. So I have all of them on there. Inside linebacker, offensive tackle, outside linebacker. Well, that's what I did. I put them here, and then this was my priority list at the time. So cornerback, D end, tight end. Okay, they're all here now. All right. So where would I label this? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and change this to what color is this shit right here? Shoot, I don't even remember. Was it this one? No. Can't find it. There it is. Okay. I'm gonna say late. If I'm just thinking out loud, I gotta. This is kind of how I do it in my Madden draft classes. Like, where is that valuable to me? I'm gonna say late, if at all, for offensive guard. Offensive tackle now who could play offensive guard. I'm gonna say early. Tight end. Me personally, I don't think you're bringing a lot of value by drafting another day three guy. If you're gonna attack it, I say you go early. Now I get that we don't have a lot of early picks. We'll sort that out later, and maybe not even today. All right, where's my green? Nope. Quarterback, I'm gonna say mid to late. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it blank for now because that's the question. DN late, nose tackle late, but unless someone dynamic kind of falls to you, outside linebacker, I have mid. I'm gonna go ahead and change that to. Damn it, early now. Because I think at the time I was thinking not as important because you have Princely and Nick. Um, they were starting Wanham, probably because Patrick Jones wasn't able to go. I think it's just obvious to you. Like we need an edge. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna look for. I'm giving it to you. You could take it to the fucking bank. They're gonna go after like another Nick Scorton type. I know that's the easy way to put it, but a guy who is not like a Brian Burns or a Princely. Um, a guy who could create pressure by collapsing the pocket. A power rusher, if you will. Max Crosby fits that role. I don't know if. Here's what I don't know about Trey Hendrickson because he could do that, but can Trey also cover as a 3-4 outside linebacker? So there's probably guys who can do that on this list that are going to be free agents. I don't know them well enough, but like an Alex Highsmith who's not doesn't look like he's a free agent. So I can tell you right now they're gonna get a guy. There's no fucking way they go into next season with with what we have now. There's no fucking way. You can't go into next season, even if you re-sign Wanham, bro. You cannot go into next season with Scorton, Jones, and Princely and Wanham. You just can't fucking do it. And if you do, us fans are justifiably and being pissed off. You need to improve it some. At least try. So, I think because of the scheme, assuming Ivero's back, doesn't get hired as a head coach, and we don't let him go, um, I think they're gonna go after someone. Maybe second. It doesn't matter if they're first or second round. I just think it's gonna be early, and it's gonna fit what they're looking for in a power rusher who can also cover if need be, and is give some zone coverage. So that's what I would do based off what I've seen. Inside backer we have early and or potential free agent too. Cornerback I would go late. Yeah, let's do late. I have that. Safety. I love the idea of a premier guy, man. I just don't. I don't see. I think the only one I really know of in the draft that is clear and obvious he's going to be a dude is the kid out of Ohio State. Name escapes me. Caleb Downs. Maybe what ooh, is he going to be there at 19? Maybe. I just don't know. You don't know. The people are telling you right now he's a top 10 guy. People are going to say he's worth a top 5. Dude, how come on, fans. I see so many fans just like fall hook, line, and sinker for this stuff. I ain't saying he's going to fall at 19. I'm just saying just don't be surprised. Please. It's my favorite time of year. It could also be the most frustrating because I hear so many people fall for stuff, hook, line, and sinker, because these guys, these pundits they're getting paid to be there. They have to say something, and whatever it is, they have to just go off of quick notes, cliff notes. Is everyone else saying? I don't want to be left out. I don't want to be the one who's not agreeing with this stuff. So I just don't. I wouldn't fall for it. Could a Caleb Downs have fallen 19? I'm telling you, yes. Okay. It could happen. I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just not going to sit here and say, "Oh no, he's not going to be there at 19." There's just no fucking weirdos. Where would I prioritize it? This might be one of those where even if I want to get someone in here to back up Merrick and Ransom, and I don't know, maybe even Scott if we resign him. I don't know. I'm just not. I wouldn't be too surprised if we resign Scott. You know what's funny now that I think about it? You know who else? Dave Canales talked highly of David Moore, and them fuckers still around. He also did kind of speak highly of Nick Scott, so I just wouldn't be surprised if he's back. And I'm not gonna be too mad either. I would love. I do think we need. Let's. I don't think we're bringing back Isaiah Simmons. I don't think he wants to come back. And heck, I wouldn't. I would be fine if we did, and we said, "All right, man, you're gonna fucking compete with Wallace. Hit the off season. We're gonna hit it. Okay, let's see what you got." But we need to give him a spot, man. We need to say you are competing for this position, whatever position he wants. Do you want safety? Do you want inside backer? And if he says I want to play edge, I'm gonna say no, dude. Not unless you could fucking run over offensive tackles. It ain't gonna fucking happen. And I need to see it on a semi-regular basis. But I'm not opposed to that. Um, but I just don't think he fits safety for us. And I think we should bring in. I guess I could put it another way. Um, to me, Merrigan Ransom. Okay, you're looking at. We're gonna find ways to put him on the field. But how about this? We need a free safety. Nick Scott fits that right now, and we need a backup to Nick Scott. Okay, so where would I draft him? I don't have a lot of mids here. I'm gonna say late or mid, bro. So let's color him late. God, I love playing couch GM. Um, all right. So then let's prioritize of the earlies. I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna damn. That's a lot of earlies. Tackle, tight end, outside linebacker, wide receiver. Some people are gonna say wide receiver too. I'm gonna say no, man. Like unless someone just falls to you like you weren't expecting, I'm just gonna say no. I'm fine with T Mac, Coker, XL, Jimmy Horn Jr., maybe Bryson Tremaine. They show interest in him. But if we were, I think we need like another. Uh, there was a guy I heard on a podcast. He was saying we need like another. Who's that kid in the Lions who played in Alabama with Bryce? Jermaine Williams? Is that his name? If we were to get a receiver, dude, we need a guy who gets open quick. All right. I don't want to bring in fucking Mike Evans. Like we need a speedy, quick, twitchy, but a receiver, not just a guy who's just those things. We need a dude. If we're gonna take a dude, we need a dude that can complement this receiving core. That can get someone who. How about this? If you're gonna fucking add to that wide receiver room, you need a guy who has the potential to make defenses say, okay, we're gonna fucking shift coverage over to help because he's getting open too quick, and then that's gonna create opportunities for T Mac and Coker. Okay, how about that? XL, if you can't be that guy, then you know what? So if we're gonna get a receiver, that's who we need to get. So you know what? I'm gonna add wide receiver here to the bottom of the list as potential need or look into. And that's over. I would have to be here, so I'm just gonna put him. Let's put him right here. Now, where would I do that? I don't know. Let's say mid. He can be one of the mid guys. All right. And here I'm gonna say mid here. Damn it. Which one was it? Was it this one? Damn it. All right. I'm used to the. I don't have the Excel program here. This is just off Google. I'm used to functioning with the Excel on actual Excel program. Um. All right. So maybe let's create a second list here, based off this. When I consider, and this is just assuming we don't sign anyone in free agency, because that'll change it. If I'm just looking at the draft, between offensive tackle, tight end, edge, and inside linebacker, I'm gonna put an emphasis on outside linebacker because I think offensive tackles can be found later. It's merely, I'm going to say tight end. Okay, is that how I like my prioritizing there? The reason why I say edge over is because positional value, and if I'm assuming you're gonna have a list of guys, and you're basically gonna take a lot of edge rushers off because they're not gonna fit the type of player you're looking for, and then you're gonna probably take even more players off, of course, like every position of players that you don't think they might be good on paper or in um, draft simulators, but they're not the type of player that you want. So, but that's every position. So just merely scheme alone, you're gonna minimize it. So if you have a premier guy, I'm gonna say that's the top pick you're looking at. Now, tight end over inside linebacker. I guess that's more of a me preference. I think that's gonna be interchangeable. So if I'm gonna assume that the tight end room is what we have, even with even with keeping Tremble, I just feel like a tight end could, and it has to be premier, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of them. So shoot, I could probably even make an argument that I would need to put tight end first. No, actually, you know what? I haven't studied a lot of tight ends, but I did. I'm starting to hear that tight end is deep. Okay, so yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, this is where winging it kind of sucks because I'm just a back and forth. But you could probably make an argument for all three of them, different positions, and maybe just like assess it in the sense of maybe you drop them down. Like let's say you can drop tight end down if you have more guys that you like that could fall to you in round two, for example. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you could maybe you could look at it and say, and this will come forth if I know that they're doing this in this the war room, but just as me as a fan, I could sit here and say maybe I would prior. I'll give you a scenario. Even though I've been talking down inside linebackers, maybe there's a couple guys I'm like, dude, they are for sure top 20 picks. I don't think there is, but let's just say that like they are for sure top 20 that I like would want on this team and fits this scheme and is a fucking Panther. I could maybe argue, okay, I'm going to prioritize that because I see more edge guys and tight ends that we can get in rounds two and three. But just a basic understanding. I'm gonna want to prioritize edge more. It's a higher positional value. It's a position we need improvement on, and it's we might have minimal choices with the type of players that we're looking to get. A power rusher who can also cover is who basically in short. Tight end I have high priority because I feel like we need someone who can become a premier tight end for our quarterback. I can't. I would have liked to have seen JT Sanders do that. I would like to see Mitchell Evans grow into that. At one point, Mitchell Evans was becoming tight end one. But if inside that building they have an idea of these guys, the ceilings of these guys, and if that ceiling is what isn't cutting it, then I'm prioritizing tight end. And then inside linebacker, you could argue that too. With if it's to me, unless you have a dynamic inside linebacker, I just feel like there's going to be a lot of there's just a lot of guys who are not just Jags, but like I think that there's a lot of guys who are good. There's a lot of guys in free agency who are good. And it's just and to get them isn't going to cost you as much. So yeah, And on the same breath, dude, I could sit here and say that offensive tackle is going to be more important than inside backer. I'm just saying that because inside backer, as much as we might need them, you could find them in free agency. You could get good inside linebackers in free agency. And you might even be able to get good inside linebackers in the mid rounds of the draft. Especially if you have Trevor Wells, Christian Roseboom, and you're drafting for depth slash compete. That's how I'm gonna attack my team if this is my team. Offensive tackle, I kind of dropped down a little bit, out of these top three because I feel like you could get a good offensive tackle, but like if you're talking, like let's think about it. Would they prioritize offensive tackle in the first round? The icky injury, dude. That's what I guess. So I guess the answer is yeah, they could because of the icky injury, and then he. But it'd have to be someone who could switch over to right tackle, or when Icky comes back, switch him to left guard, maybe to replace Damian Lewis at the time. I mean, dude, that would be kind of ideal on a lot of people's minds or a lot of people's opinions and ideas. So yeah, man, that's gonna be tough. Like, shoot, any one of these, we could be looking at feeling like we need it, or some fans advocating it and just not be able to. So how about this? If I'm looking at just these four as early picks, I may have to fill someone in free agency or just be happy with what we've got. Because edge and tackle have high positional value early in the draft. Tight end does to a certain degree because there's not a lot of premier guys. So if you have a chance to get a dynamic premier tight end, I think you take it. Because you're not going to find them in free agency. You're not going to find an offensive tackle in free agency. You could find an edge rusher in free agency, but that's mainly because nobody can fucking afford what he's asking for. So, you know, it's a lot of people are talking about inside backer. I'm just saying, man, you may not get your wish because this is going to be easier to fill in free agency, cheaper to fill in free agency, and there's not really a lot of fucking guys in the draft that are that premier. And I'm going to say it out loud right here. I think there's a lot of what's the term? There's a lot of love for Sonny Styles, and I think he's being overhyped right now. Just saying. I've said it on other podcasts. You're probably not going to hear anyone say it, but if you watch his film, what I saw, and maybe I should rephrase it so I'm clear. The I didn't watch that much, but I did watch. I'm saying I could be wrong if I watch more, but I'm telling you, man, what I saw worries me a little bit in the NFL. I think he's what I call light in the ass or light in his bottom half. I think he's more of a finesse inside backer, which some could like because we need help in coverage. But I think he's going to get abused a little bit, especially early on at the point of attack. I think he's going to get bullied a little bit. I think he's just too light in the ass. I think he plays too high. He's just not. I don't. He worries me. He's almost like an Isaiah Simmons, almost like maybe a little bit bigger Jeremy Chin, and that worries me a little bit. You know, he's like what 6'5", 242. So I know he's got weight. It's just I was kind of surprised. I didn't see him overpowering anyone. I saw him. And the ones that he did, it just kind of was just. It wasn't like a true inside linebacker overpowering. If I'm explaining myself with my thoughts. So I'll just say this, dude. He kind of worries me a little bit for an early first round inside backer if fans and teams are expecting him to come in, but I could be wrong. So, oh, where was I? Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of guys there. And if they are, you can get them later round. So I would not be surprised to see the team re-sign Roseboom, sign a free agent, maybe even like could be one of the top paid inside linebacker free agency in free agent guys in free agency, and then see if anyone falls to us in the draft and maybe bringing them in for depth and not really want to prioritize an early pick to do so because there'll be depth. Because if we sign another guy, we could be looking at the free agent or Trevin Wallace or maybe even Roseboom, kind of already like on the bench to a certain degree. So yeah, I'm not pounding the table to go early on the inside backer. I see bigger bang for the buck at edge, tight end, or offensive tackle. What else? All right, who else we got? All right, so um, here's where I'm gonna put quarterback. If I don't, if I'm not, so who else we got? We got wide receiver, quarterback, or offensive guard, defensive end, nose tackle, cornerback, and safety. I'm gonna put quarterback right here in my priority list because you're gonna if you like a kid and you think he could be mid to late rounds or second or day two guys that maybe fall to you, I think you take him. I don't think it's going to be hard for a team our front office to take a guy second or third round and just pull off the whole, well, we had a first round grade on him, so, we can't I think Bryce played well enough, did enough to where that would they would get some side eyes there. So I think they're going to be frowned upon doing that, and maybe even convince themselves that they don't need it. But I think if you're looking at early day three, fourth round, it's a lot easier to say, yeah, we had a fucking second round grade on him, and we like him. And maybe even if you only had a third round grade, just say that. And kind of like you're massaging the relationships a little bit if you wait to the fourth round. But you're not waiting too late to where you get someone who ain't gonna be worth a damn. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But a lot of teams function like that. So you can, if there are guys, how many times have we seen it to where they have high grades on them, second, third round grades, and they fall the fourth round because nobody's using a day one or day two pick on them, especially when they might have young quarterbacks of their own that they don't want to ruffle their feathers or the fan base feathers. So I think it's completely justifiable in most fans' views that if they don't have Dalton and they use a fourth round pick on a quarterback, no one I don't think anyone's going to get pissy over it. If you ask me though, let me do this. It's such a cuz I can get on a fucking tangent. Um all right, who guard if you're having to draft an offensive tackle, I mean, and if you're re-signing guys because Icky's out and you're trying to keep the most stability you can, I just don't. If a guy falls to you, of course, everything's out the window if someone falls to you or if someone's dynamic. Okay? This is just a basic understanding of how I'm setting up. I would like, as a couch GM, to set up the priorities in the draft, not knowing who we can take, which position we can take out because we hit hard in free agency. Um, I'm just looking at the rest. So, who would I prioritize? It's just gonna depend on free agency, but I'm gonna say wide receiver, assuming you could find a guy who's kind of like what I'd be looking for, and then let's say D line, cornerback, safety. I don't know who fucking cares. These guys, let's just fucking let them fall to us. But all right, the hot topic again. What I would do with quarterback, what I'm gonna do in my franchise too. And if I was truly GM, I'm gonna look in the mirror and I'm gonna say, dude, Bryce is inconsistent. Bryce can be the guy. He can be the franchise guy, but he isn't yet. Let's be real. He is not. He has potential to be. He can be. He could be a franchise. He could be the face of the franchise with his demeanor, maybe even his work ethic. But at the end of the day, let's be fucking 100% real so we can assess our team the best way possible. I think you're silly if you don't realize that he limits the offense. You can tell me all day that what he does, he's going to be the best at it. Okay, but he limits the offense. He can't make every throw. If you disagree with that, dude, I ain't having a conversation with you. You're just delusional. He can't make every throw. So just by that mere fact, you limit an offense and a coordinator and a play caller. You limit what you can do. Then you add in that he's had some really bad games performance wise. You add in that he does miss some really basic fucking throws. You haven't seen it in a few weeks, but there's some really just fucking layups. And it probably doesn't even affect what you would say is the game because it's happening in the first quarter, second in the first half, or early in the third quarter. And I watch every fucking play and I'm just rolling my eyes like how the fuck did you miss that? And I only get more upset about it because it's not the first time it happens. If fucking Josh Allen or now Drake May or fucking Patrick Mahomes, they miss a guy, it's like that sucked. Because they have so much history of not missing those. But there was a time there where it was like two a game, and those hurt. Okay, I'm not expecting someone to be perfect, dude. If people get sensitive over things that someone like me says, or any fans like me that say that, dude, like I think you're just being a little overly sensitive for no fucking reason, and you're not understanding that it's a concern, justifiable concern. Um, at the very minimum, you should be able to say, I see how you see that. I just choose to believe he's going to improve. Okay, you might be right, and I'll concede to that. You might be right. I just need him to end. He's going into year 4. I need him to fucking end. You need to make the fucking layups every fucking time. Make it so that when you do have a mistake, we're doing exactly what all the other fans in the league with top tier quarterbacks are doing. We're saying, dude, fucking, all right, well, he's gonna get him next time. I want to be able to feel week in week out that we're going to get a quarterback performance, and it's going to take some really great defensive plays and a really great team to best our offense. Which is why, if it were me, and I know they're not going to do it, if I like a guy in fucking round 2, I'm taking him. And I'm saying I don't give a fuck what any of y'all think. And I'm fucking doing it, and I'm saying, yeah, it's a fucking competition. Oh, but and then what? The fucking report. If I'm in the fucking podium and the reporters are, well, is this? Are you saying that you don't have faith in Bryce Young? I'm gonna say, no, I do, but I want to win and I want to start building for the future now. I don't want to wait and hinge my job on Bryce possibly not succeeding and then letting the next fucking coach come in and having this team have to basically start over. I'm using the roster spot, I'm using a draft pick, and I'm taking the most valuable fucking position as a backup. And if he competes, great. But right now, Bryce is our starter. We've got a guy who we value pretty high, and if he and maybe if and it can also create leverage too for going in when Bryce is up for contract renewal. And if Bryce can't handle a fucking second round pick backing him up to ensure that we have a successful season, which I know he would. He'd be like he'd meet the challenge. That's one of the good things about Bryce. So don't take that away from him. But that's just me. I don't think that optics wise, it's gonna teams. It's a business. I don't think they would do it. I mean, if you really want to get real, I'm tell there is a player. Should he be there at 19, I would have no problems taking. But I get it. That's mad in fucking wish lists. I would just do it in real life too because I think he's gonna be that good. Um, and I think we would all agree, even if you have a Bryce, but you can have someone like a Josh Allen or a Drake May. Um, who else is kind of that guy right now? Who else is like that guy who's trying to think? I don't know. I just think if you have a chance, dude, you have to take it. You can't be sitting here waiting for fucking someone else to pan out if you can get a guy. So, but that's me, and it ain't gonna happen. I know. There's just no fucking way. They could probably even be like, yeah, this is gonna be the guy, but unfortunately, we're tied. Our hands are tied right now. So let's find the next guy that we can get in like the fourth round. That's just my 2 cents on it. I think that position is that important. They always say, as the quarterback goes, the offense goes, and if the offense is struggling, the whole team's going to struggle. It's the most important position in all of sports. It's the hardest position in all of sports. Yada yada yada. Yet they'll fucking say the opposite when there's a fucking player that has some questions and hasn't really proven that he's the guy. And if you're looking at a potential franchise guy and be like, oh, we're not going to take him because we already have someone, it's like, shut the fuck up. I would have the balls to do it, and I would say I'm doing the best that for this team. And if Bryce turns out to be the dude, great. Now I've got two, and uh, I have someone to back him up to develop, to be there should knock on wood anything to happen to our starter, and we could hopefully not skip a beat next man up. And then if down the road I have two guys, that's a good problem to have. Fucking not that hard. I think that's all I want to say on it. I said my piece. I'm not discounting Bryce. He's close to proving people like me wrong. I'm not completely down on him. I was very impressed with his last game. I just know that it's been a bipolar season, and whether that's not his fault at all, because he has. There's trust me. I told you at the start of this. Dave Canales was a little disappointing. Our offense sucked. Last year I felt Bryce was the problem for the most part, or the main problem. This year, I think he just shares in the blame, and we need to fix it. And yeah, I know it's a touchy subject, man. All right, what else do I got here? I didn't put nose tackle, so I didn't put something else. What else did I probably guard? Okay, what could we do? I've been on here a while, just shooting my shit as my own little hobby, talking to myself. Hey, this also doubles as what I want to do in my Madden franchise too. So get off my ass. What could I do here? Let's look up. Do we want to look at? All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's look at edge rushers, inside backers. Let's look at the top four. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to PFF. All right, how do we get there again? I mean, dude, everyone goes there for the fucking draft simulator. So why the fuck is that not like the the home page. There we go. You know what? Let's go ahead and. Oh no, I don't like doing that because I like doing all so that I could see who's available. Because once we get to 19, there's gonna be 18 fucking players that aren't on the fucking list to look at. All right, so let's just do this. Let's look at each fucking position. It's been a while. How am I doing this? Oh, duh. Look at that. Caleb Downs, number one. He might be a top five pick. Might be top 10. Does he have a chance to be there 19? Yes, he does. Not very likely, but it's more likely than Fernando Mendoza. Or yeah. All right. Let's look at what we're gonna look at. Let's just go down this. So let's look at tight ends. He's very interesting. As we get closer, I want to make sure I communicate this right, so I'm not regretting that I chose wrong words and they weren't what I was actually thinking. So I may, as we get closer, get to a point where I'm like fully on board with taking Sadiq at 19. All right, I don't really know that much about these other guys right now because I've just been the casual fan, watching when I can, not really studying that much. Nobody really stood out more than Sadiq because he did stand out. The question is going to be like if you have a priority to find a guy, he might be the only dude. So, based off what I was saying earlier, that might be a situation where you're like, Sadiq is at the top of our draft board if he's there, because we can have other guys at different positions later. All right, let's look at offensive tackle. All right, there's definitely more guys here. Obviously it's going to depend on what you're looking for, who you like, who could play guard. To me, would be a very important factor. Who could you move inside when you need them to? When you have Icky back, who can move to right tackle? That's another aspect. So you could, cross names off the list here as you're kind of going through that, and you might find, someone down the list. There might be a few guys who are way down the list. So you're like, that fits what we're looking for, and that's when we're gonna aim for that position. But for top guys, I don't know. You could have some teams. They're gonna take a few guys off the fucking before 19. But just to give an idea, these are the top names currently. Some of these might disappear as they decide to go back to college. Some might be added. Nah, I don't think. I think they have more in here than they do need to adding later. All right. Who else did I have? Edge and inside linebacker. Let's look at linebacker first. So Reese, I think, is going to be more of an edge. So let's say you take. You're going to have a lot of guys. Maybe not as many as you want. I just would not be surprised in the least, man, if they say if they decide to go with now let's fill inside linebacker free agency. At least be able to field starters with, let's say, Roseboom, Wallace, and a free agent, and then if someone falls to us, great. I don't see them going into it and be like, yeah, 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 we're gonna basically wait till we can draft C.J. Allen in the first round. It's just I'm not a fan of that thought process right now. You could sit here and be like, oh yeah, I want inside backer, inside backer. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. There are fans and people I respect who are saying that. Me personally, I'm just, you know, I'm not that high on Sonny Styles, but if everyone else is, if you're that high on him, do you really think he's gonna fuck? Are you gonna count on him coming to dropping to 19? Or do you want to trade up for something like? Nah, dude. I'd rather have guys that, yeah, I would have traded up for him, but have him fall to us if we can. I just who's dynamic here? I think Arvell Reese could be dynamic, but I think he's dynamic enough to go. He's gonna play edge and probably want to play edge and get more money at edge down the road, and you're probably gonna want people to want to teams that are gonna want to use him at edge because that's a more impactful position. Because I think yeah, you might have like an Anthony Hill Jr. fall to you in round two. So just some things to think about. Oh, look, Arvell. Oh, never mind. Damn it, I didn't cross that one off. There we go. Damn it, where was it? Okay. Whew. All right. Let's look at. Let's just go down the list here. Ruben Bain. Oh, they don't have his weight. Let's look at someone like David Bailey. Okay. I could be wrong, but he strikes me more. I did watch some, but I'm just preempting with I could be wrong because I don't feel like I feel comfortable enough to where I watched a lot. But I would think he's more of like a speed edge rusher, and he might have a lot of fans, and there might be a lot of. I just feel like we have Panthers fans. We have a lot of fans that have not yet understood that I don't think we in our scheme are going to value a speed pass rusher. So even if something like that were to fall, I just struggle. I would love it, but I would struggle to think that's the type of player that they're looking for. Keldrick Falk. Okay, now if I rewind the clock a year, Nick Scorton I was seeing as more of like a 4-3 defensive end because he was listed a lot more weight. Now, if someone like Keldrick Falk drops some weight or they have him as 285 pounds incorrectly right now, I mean that could be a possibility. Cassius Howell. Of course, this also depends on whether or not. So he's not, at least on paper right now, he doesn't seem like someone that we would go after. Like, dude, even I think I saw reported at PFF that their mock draft they have Cassius Howell going to us at 19. They're not considering what they're just looking at edge, pass rusher. They're not looking at. I think we need to start getting used to the fact that we're looking for power edge rushers who can cover zone in a 3-4. Is who is the power rusher here, and that's who you probably want to set your eyes on and what could be a possibility. I think, and what I've seen, I think TJ Parker so far is the one that's going to stand out to me. I ain't a fucking Tiger fan. Um, I would just on paper, just what I've seen, little of what I've seen paper. This is the first guy that I would think would be someone that we target and could be available to us at 19. Things are going to change, though. The more info we get about players and whatnot. So, yeah, but oh, dude, you got a fucking shit ton of guys in the top 100. So, just because even if we were to say, look, that's our biggest need, hands down. Um, we need to get to the quarterback. They did do it last year to where we were saying that last year, and they kind of looked at the draft board and said, yeah, we can get guys that we want in round 2 and 3. So things are going to change, but yeah, as of right now, this is how I kind of loosely would prioritize it. Very very loosely. Things are going to change again. Free agency, um, how the draft class plays out, how uh, how good or how deep each position looks in players that we want or are targeting. So, but yeah, just kind of very loosely, I would prioritize edge over inside backer. I would even prioritize tight end over inside backer, especially if then you look at well, who's available early, and the only one that stands out is Kenyon Sadiq. Shit, I'm just saying, man. If he's there, and you got multiple guys at edge and inside backer and offensive tackle, dude, I would not be surprised. And I'm gonna do that meme. Just saying. I said the same thing about fucking wide receiver last year. Everyone was talking about edge, defense, defensive tackle, Mason Graham, edge rusher, this guy, that guy. And I told a couple people on Twitter, I'm like, hey, of course it was a different account than the one I created now for strictly for Panthers for football, Panthers sports, Panthers football. But I said, look, I think getting an offensive weapon is entirely possible. And the two guys I was looking at was, damn it, I'm forgetting his name. Oh, well, the tight end from Penn State who went to the Colts. What the fuck is his name now? Oh, that dude. Um, it's not that I forget him. I'm blanking on name. Um, fucking shit. I don't know. I had him and T Mac, and then I was also kind of like teetering away from T Mac because I'm like, wait a second. I think we need more of like a shifty guy, quick guy, gets open quick. Um, and XL was going his second year. I didn't want to get another guy who's kind of just a possession receiver. But yeah, point is, um, I think once again a weapon on offense is entirely in the possibility, the realm of possibility, and you could be looking at. Well, let's look at receivers. You could be looking at. I struggle to see receiver though. You've already got two guys on the field. And then you got another third who was a first round pick, and you're still going to want to give an opportunity to. So why not improve the tight end room when you're putting two, sometimes three out there? Have a guy who can be like, if you go in three tight end set and you have a guy who can also be a premier pass catcher coming out of that three tight end set, and if the defense is going to look at that and say, all right, they're in a fucking 13 personnel, is that what that would be called? I don't know. One receiver, three tight ends. They're like, okay, they're probably going to run here, but you got T Mac over there, uh, and then that's it, dude. I love. The more I even talk about it and think about it, the more I think I would prioritize tight end um, for our offense. But I mean, so basically the question would be like, so who's the next? Damn it, who's that Lions wide receivers? Jamison Williams. So who's the next Jamison Williams type who can be quick, get open quick, make defenses fucking, shift coverage over to them because it's quick, and then give more time for XL and fucking mostly T Mac, but more times for other guys to get open, Coker, um, create more gaps. Like, so if you can't do that, maybe you could do it at the tight end position. And here's the thing with tight ends, you may not have heard a lot of people say, or where was I? God damn it, that's bugging me. Colts tight end. Tyler Warren, duh. Okay, yeah. Now I lost where I was going. Shoot. I lost it. Oh, the thing with tight ends, I heard it stood out. Uh, Someone said, and it made a lot of sense, man. The way they put it into words, that was like, yeah, that is what more teams need to think about when they're looking at tight ends. Is someone who can basically, at an elite level, separate on their completely own, not by scheme alone. Not if you can have a tight end that can just create, get open by themselves, as opposed to you having to scheme them open. That's like exponentially just so much better to have a, in your offense. So I have been hearing that this tight end class is deep. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a Kenyon Sadiq. If there's a guy you like who can do that, I think we could use it. It's just that Sadiq is like the premier name right now. Um, I don't know how well he blocks, but yeah, I would love that for our offense. And trust me, dude, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. I'm just trying to consider positional value, how much they cost in free agency, what kind of dynamic players, what I think our offense and defense need. Um, so yeah, things are gonna evolve. But I wanted to get this out, start thinking about it. Basically get the gears turning. Because I'm also doing this for what I think is a very fun simmed franchise mode. We go slow sim, watch the games. Want to be able to couch GM it as how I would do it with realistic draft classes or up to date realistic. And then yeah, how do I want to attack it? The next thing I'm probably gonna do is maybe maybe even before the season ends, just take a look at the draft classes and what kind of players we're looking at. Don't really need to. I mean, they're kind of, in essence, draft classes are usually going to match up with what all websites see as like potential players going into the rookie class for the most part. But yep, here are my earlies, man. I'm forgetting again where I got it. Is that? Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. Here are my mids, and that's the thing. These are just you can fluctuate, but if I had more place to put notes in here, I would say power rusher, guy who can get open on his own. Probably gonna go after free agency on this one, and then a guy who could also play both tackle positions and um, move inside. So at least in time, be able to do so. Heck, maybe even re-sign Josh Nyman, play him at left tackle. Because even if when we signed Brady, bro, they never really moved him. They didn't have him. They had Josh play there. So yeah, I think I'm liking it. And if you don't have enough picks, I'm telling you, man, inside backer is going to be the first one I attack in free agency. So first guy, best guys to resign: Coker, Mays, Roseboom, even Sam Martin. Shit, everyone that's green here. White cell but green font, resign. Probably even want to do that. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and color him green, whichever green that was. Was it this one? Yeah. Yeah, I want to. I mean, we kind of have to because Icky's gonna be out. And then free agency, you could. I would honestly, and I think I have to tell the other people I talk to online, I'm going to start leaning towards maybe a young guy who hasn't completely proved himself yet, but has proven potential, and maybe give him like a 20, no, like a 15, maybe plus $1 million contract to recognize his potential and say, all right, man, you know you're coming in to compete, but also likely be our starter. Um, over like someone like a Trey Hendrickson personally. So I'd have to probably find those players. Who do we got at free agency tight end? I mean, that's an option too. Hmm, that's interesting. I ain't gonna play the Kyle Pitts game. No, fuck no. Ta- See, that's the other thing. I don't know if I really communicated. It's like you can't find premier tackles too, or quarterbacks, or receivers, or edge guys. So that's why, to me, man, I know I'm gonna piss a lot of fucking people off, but like inside backer, just it. We need to address it. It's just not a high priority for me. All right, I think that'll cover it. I had fun. Uh, I guess I'll go live when I go live. Have a good one.